Imagine the unthinkable. Charlie Kirk, co-founder of Turning Point USA and a lightning rod in America's culture wars, steps up to the podium before an eager audience, ready to deliver a fiery call for free speech, and is suddenly brought down by a single, distant gunshot. In that instant, a vibrant voice for conservative youth was silenced, leaving a stunned crowd and a nation desperate for answers. Less than 72 hours later, former President Donald Trump declared on live television, "With a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody," electrifying a story that had already gripped the country's attention. On September 10th, in a Midwestern University auditorium, Kirk was about 20 minutes into his keynote on free speech and the future of America when the shot rang out from a building roughly 200 yards away. Students and faculty froze in disbelief as the keynote speaker crumpled. Campus security and local police converged within minutes, while ambulances raced Kirk to a nearby hospital. His condition proved fatal. By evening, news outlets confirmed he had died. Turning Point USA issued a terse statement. "Our hearts are broken. We demand justice for Charlie." And the FBI quickly stepped in, releasing a person of interest photo and offering a reward of up to $100,000 for information leading to an arrest. In the hours that followed, investigators scoured the crime scene. Forensic teams mapped the bullet's trajectory, collected shell casings, and retraced every step from the balcony where the shot was fired. Multiple surveillance cameras around campus and adjacent businesses were pressed into service, while student eyewitnesses were re-interviewed in hopes of gleaning even the faintest clue. Tips began pouring in, some credible, some wild, but enough to fuel optimism that the shooter would be identified swiftly. 2 days later, as speculation swirled across cable news and social media, Donald Trump appeared on Fox and Friends for a pre-scheduled segment. Mere moments before airtime, aides informed him that law enforcement had detained a suspect. When the red on-air light blinked, Trump delivered the breaking news without hesitation. "With a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody." Right in custody, he told viewers, praising the teamwork of local police, the governor, and federal agents who had worked around the clock. He described how the investigation had begun with absolutely nothing, just a grainy clip that made the suspect look almost useless, and had, by some mixture of luck and skill, yielded an arrest within days. Behind the scenes, the breakthrough came when analysts enhanced two surveillance clips showing a silver SUV speeding away from the alley behind the suspect building. By tracing toll booth records and cross-referencing rental registrations, they zeroed in on a vehicle linked to an alias. Before dawn on September 12th, a SWAT team quietly surrounded an apartment on the city's north side. A single knock on the door led to the suspect's calm surrender, unarmed and out of options. Publicly, little is known about the detainee beyond a registration under an assumed name and a prior lack of any violent crime record. Neighbors describe him as quiet and solitary, prone to pacing on his balcony, but never stirring suspicion. Investigators are now combing through his digital footprint, social media posts, search histories, communication logs, to uncover any hint of motive, whether political, personal, or a dangerous collision of both. Preliminary charges have been filed, first-degree murder under state law, with a possibility of federal hate crime enhancements should prosecutors establish that Kirk was targeted for his political beliefs. Bail has been set at $5 million, and the suspect remains in a high-security county lockup awaiting arraignment. Defense attorneys are expected to seek discovery of every piece of evidence, from ballistics reports to witness statements, while prosecutors prepare for a trial that will hinge on establishing motive beyond a reasonable doubt. Across the political spectrum, reactions have been immediate and divided. Turning Point USA released a longer tribute, mourning their leader's passing and calling for unity in pursuit of justice. The White House, without naming names, issued a statement expressing condolences to Kirk's family and urging patience as investigators follow the facts. On the university campus, classes were suspended for 2 days, counseling services deployed, and security reviews launched to prevent another tragedy. Social media saw #JusticeForCharlie trending among conservative circles, while critics adopted #WaitForFacts to caution against hasty conclusions. Media coverage fractured along familiar lines. Right-leaning outlets spotlighted Trump's praise for law enforcement and framed the arrest as proof that backing the blue yields results. Progressive voices, by contrast, lamented the absence of details on the suspect's ideology and warned that inflammatory rhetoric could too easily spark violence. Commenters on both sides raised questions. Was this a random act by an unstable individual, a politically motivated hit, or a chilling reminder that even public figures are never beyond reach? The investigation now enters a critical phase. In the coming weeks, prosecutors will lay out their case at an indictment hearing, presenting forensic analyses and enhanced video stills. Defense teams will comb through those materials, likely challenging the admissibility of certain evidence and probing for procedural missteps. Should the case proceed to trial, jurors will be tasked with sifting through complex technical details, ballistic trajectories, digital forensics timelines, to determine guilt and, if warranted, consider the weight of hate crime enhancements. Beyond the courtroom, America faces a broader reckoning with political violence. The past few years have seen threats, and even attempts, against public figures across the spectrum, from pipe bombs mailed to media personalities to attacks on elected officials. Experts warn that today's hyperpartisan climate can radicalize vulnerable individuals, turning rhetorical skirmishes into tragic reality. Campus life, once a forum for robust debate, now carries an undercurrent of anxiety, prompting universities to weigh security measures that were unthinkable a decade ago. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's death, his legacy looms large. By the age of 30, he had built a movement that mobilized thousands of young conservatives, sparking both admiration and controversy. In life, he championed free speech amid heated disagreement. In death, he becomes both martyr and emblem of a nation wrestling with its own divisions. His family's plea, for prayers rather than politics, serves as a poignant reminder that behind the headlines and hashtags are real people enduring an unimaginable loss. As the suspect awaits his day in court, the path forward demands a collective commitment to due process and truth. Speculation and partisanship may fill the void in the short term, but only a fair trial can yield a definitive account of motive and method. In moments like these, calls for calm and patience are not a retreat from accountability, but an affirmation of the very principles Kirk espoused. He believed in America's promise of open debate. It now falls to us to ensure that pursuit of justice does not become another casualty of fear and anger. In the shadow of this tragedy, law enforcement agencies are already reviewing their response. Faster digital forensics workflows, improved interagency liaisons, and updated security protocols for large public events. Universities are assessing campus layouts, surveillance coverage, and emergency notification systems. Yet no policy adjustment can fully erase the trauma experienced by witnesses or the void left by a life cut short. The national conversation on political violence will continue, but while policy and procedure can evolve, the human cost remains indelible. Ultimately, the arrest of the person believed responsible for Charlie Kirk's death offers a measure of relief, but far from closure. The suspect's motives must be laid bare, evidence weighed in an impartial court, and society must grapple with how to protect both free speech and public safety. In honoring Kirk's memory, the nation has a choice: to let outrage dominate or to recommit to reasoned discourse and the rule of law. As this high-profile case unfolds, America will watch not only for justice, but for a reaffirmation of the fragile balance between passion and peace, between conviction and compassion.